Veterinary officials and pig farmers are racing against time to halt the spread of a swine fever, which has affected hundreds of pigs in various parts of the country. Sub-Saharan Africa is susceptible to the African swine fever, which apparently has been spreading here in Ghana since March this year. Hundreds of pigs have been killed in the Ashanti, Upper East, Volta and Eastern regions. We'll be touching base with the regions for their respective situations. But here is some pertinent information about this disease. So let me take you through a brief of this disease, what it is and what it entails. Now, it is the African swine flu is a highly contagious hemorrhagic disease of pigs, warthogs, European wild boar and American wild pigs. And it is not a human health threat. That is the good news that you need to know. It is not a human health threat. Now, how do they diagnose this disease? You can only diagnose it through clinical symptoms and with a laboratory test. What are the symptoms we're talking about here? Number one, high fever and death within 2 to 10 days on the average. So what happens is that the animals that it infects are likely to die within 2 to 10 days. 2, there's loss of appetite. So if you're a pig farmer, I'm sure you'll be very familiar with this. You would know that your pigs will lose appetite as at this point when they're experiencing or when they've been infected by this disease. And the animals get depressed. They go into depression. That's one sign that you can also tell. The other sign is redness of the skin, the ears, the abdomen, and the legs. There's also vomiting, nasal bleeding, and then bleeding from the rectum. The symptoms include diarrhea and abortion, so that if the pig is pregnant, they would lose their babies. All right, so those are the symptoms for the African swine flu. Let's look at how it is transmitted. Now, it is transmitted through bodily fluids and direct contact, pretty much a symptom of viral diseases. Bodily fluids and direct contact with those who are infected. It's any contaminated equipment, vehicles, or clothing could also pass on the disease. And biting flies and ticks can pass on the disease to someone else, to another animal. Like I indicated earlier, it is not a human health threat, which means that humans are not susceptible to this viral disease. How can it be controlled? How can it be controlled? There are no published treatment or known vaccine. It sounds pretty much like Ebola, you'd say. There are no known vaccines or treatment for this. The stringent import controls and policies can help reduce the spread of it. What it means is that there's proper disposal, or there are laws, there are monitoring systems that ensures that there's proper disposal of waste from aircraft, for instance, from ships and vehicles that are coming from infected areas, or that there's a cap on what can be imported in terms of pork or pigs or anything like that. The fourth and final option available is to slaughter and dispose of those infected animals, which is what we've been doing here in the country since March. We understand that this disease has been spreading in parts of the country. Well, we can go to the regions and get some information on this and what's happening in those respective regions on the background of knowing what the diagnosis is about, what the swine fever itself is about, and what the symptoms are, the transmissions, and how it can be controlled. Let's start with the Upper East region. Upper East region, where the disease has so far been detected in the Katsina-Nankana, West and Garu district, with farmers tasked to kill the affected pigs. The movement of pigs within the region has also been banned, whilst veterinary officials are on an education mission for the farmers there. Upper East Regional Veterinary Officer Dr. Patrick Abake joins me on the line with some more explanation. Hello, sir. Thank you very much for your time here on The Pulse.
Thank you.
We know that you've told us about the Katsina-Nankana West and the Garu areas. Which other places in your jurisdiction has been affected?
So far, these are the areas that we have detected the disease, the Garu, and then the Canal West, and it's in about 6 communities. We have Mayoros, Telugu, Yua, Natugunia, Mirugu, and Kandiga. So far, it has been contained around these areas. In fact, it was detected around latter part of May, and then we confirmed it in early June. And so far, as we said, we have placed a ban on the movement of the pig and pig products within the region and outside to contain the disease. And we have a monitoring and doing surveillance for the detection of the disease. We are also on we go about educating farmers of the signs and symptoms of the disease for early reporting and detection so that the disease can be prevented or to prevent the spread of the disease to other areas. And so far, so good. The disease has not gone beyond this area that we are talking about.
Well, that'll be a very interesting observation to make at this point, because we know that there are other regions that have been affected as well. What we don't know is from where it's spread from. Are you in the position to educate us on that?
No, I cannot. I cannot tell you. No, I cannot tell you where it started from. But in our area, we suspect that it came from across the country.
Yeah, so you're looking at, say, Burkina Faso?
Yeah, because they bring in the pigs to those areas from across the border, which is very porous. So we are suspecting, but for other regions, I don't know how it came, but I don't suspect that it came from those regions to our region.
Is this dangerous for pork eaters? I mean, there are a whole lot of pork eaters in this country. Now, if we're detecting that they're infected and they're being asked to, farmers are being asked to kill them. They kill them. How do they dispose them of? Because anybody could probably just find them and make meat out of them.
Well, the disease has no human implication. It's not a zoonotic disease. But what we encourage, we don't encourage farmers to eat the carcass. We encourage them to bury it with disinfectant. But of course, there will be some farmers who would like to eat the meat, and once the meat is well boiled, there's no problem.
Oh, really? So
yeah.
You can actually eat this pork?
Yes, you can eat it. There's no human implication. Once it is well boiled, but we don't expect them to open up the carcasses because they can spread the disease by so doing. So we just advise this burial of the carcasses.
That's your expectation, but the problem in this country really has been monitoring. What are the monitoring mechanisms that you've put in place to check against these?
Yes, all our staff are outside there monitoring, and we go there once in a while, to report, to monitor. We do disease surveillance. Today we are outside there, we're there to make sure that we see the situation. And as of now, people have restrained the animals because they are farming, and because of that, the disease is being contained. And we've asked them to report to all Minister of Food and Agriculture staff, assemblymen, and all those people. They are involved. Community leaders are all involved in the detection and then reporting of the disease. You
also say that your men are providing education for farmers in the affected areas. In the entire Upper East region. How effective is this? What kind of education are you giving them at this point?
Well, we go in there, we gather the pig farmers around those communities, affected communities, then we go out to talk to them about the signs and symptoms of the disease.
Okay.
So that they can report. Anytime they see those signs, they can report to us so that we go in early enough to prevent the spread of the disease to other places. And so far, it hasn't gone far.
Well, you keep saying it hasn't gone far, but you cannot say that for sure. As in, you cannot give us, specific or concrete details to that effect that it has not gone far, as you say it has. But let's talk about how you're supervising the slaughtering of these animals who have been infected. Are you supervising the farmers to do this?
Yes. We have our staff on the ground supervising them.
Okay. We'll say a very big thanks to you, sir, for your time here on the Pulse. I'm sure we'll get back to you as the days go by to find out how well we've been able to contain the situation. Dr. Patrick Abake is the Upper East Regional Veterinary Officer. Well, let's go to the Ashanti region, where Love FM's Prince Apia reports that over 5,000 pigs were killed last year, and as of last month this year, 300 have been lost. Farmers are worried that both their businesses and livelihoods are being affected. Prince Apia joins me on the line with more. Hello, Prince. Okay, we don't have Prince at the moment, but we'll be trying to touch base as well with our correspondent in the Volta region and with those in the Eastern region as well. We have Maxwell Kudeko, who is corresponding for us from the Eastern region. Maxwell, what's the situation in the Eastern region? All right, we do not have him yet as well, but well, yesterday unposted veterinary technicians were up in arms for jobs. And one of the key concerns is that available vet technicians cannot deal with any serious outbreaks such as this if it should spiral out of control. And one of the main reasons they say that is why they say that is because they say they have to be employed to take care of such situations. Their position, of course, resonates with the National Poultry Farmers Association, who had been speaking with me yesterday. We can hear them now, and after that we can go back to the regions and get what's happening there. All right, let's go on the telephone lines now and speak with Dr. Ken Bede, who is acting director for the veterinary services. Hello, sir. Thank you very much for your time here on the Pulse. Hello?
Hello?
So what's your own assessment of the situation at this point?
The situation concerning the African swine fever?
Yes, very well. Is it, would you describe it as a national crisis?
I can't hear you. Your voice is rather faint.
What is your own assessment of the situation at this point? Will you describe it as a national crisis?
Will I describe it as what?
What is your assessment of the situation, sir, if you can hear me?
Okay. For so far, what the outbreak we've had, the latest outbreak is very much under control.
If you say it's under control, exactly what does it mean, sir?
It means there was a disease outbreak which was reported to us, and then we are on the field. We are out there at the site taking the necessary control measures, putting in place those control measures.
What are these control measures?
One thing we should know is that African swine fever, there's no treatment for it. There's no definite treatment for it. There's no vaccine for it either. So what happens is that when there's an outbreak, almost invariably, almost all the animals die. And then what is left, what is remaining, we just go in there and then we make sure we prevent the further spread of it by destroying the animals that are left. And then we bury them the right way. We get the place cleaned and disinfected. And then we place restrictions on the movement of pigs out of that area.
So if you should put it all together, how many pigs would you say have been killed nationwide?
Nationwide?
Yes.
It's difficult to say at this moment because the latest one we had just last somewhere on the 27th of this month that is occurred. And people are out there on the field taking the necessary control measures. So they are yet to report back and give us the report.
One of their people have been suspecting that this may be coming from Burkina Faso. How true is that? And if it is, would you say then that it is spreading from up north to south, to the south?
How true is what?
I've just been speaking with the Upper East Regional Veterinary Officer. He tells us that your outfit suspects that this swine fever is coming from Burkina Faso. I'm asking you whether it is.
We have not yet determined that.
Okay.
We have not yet determined that it's coming from Burkina Faso.
Well, information available also suggests that you had known about this since March. Why are we now having to deal with this because it's spreading?
It's not new outbreak. It's not new. It's been happening for several years back. It's nothing new. It's not a new outbreak.
It's not new. It's not new, but then your outfit...
African swine fever on and off.
Yes, sir. And I do have the information. I do have the information to the effects that we've had some in 2014. We've had some even in 2004, etc. So we know that it is not new. But what we're concerned about at this point, sir, is that this particular outbreak for 2017 broke in somewhere in March, but it appears it was kept under the carpet, which is why it's now beginning to spread across the country. Is that correct?
Can you say that again?
Is it correct that your outfit has not been able to deal with this since March of this year, that the latest outbreak occurred, which is why it is spreading across the country?
No, it is. Disease control is just not a matter of just going in and then one time everything is taken care of. It's a whole process which we've been going through all this year. So we do our best as much as possible to control it.
What we also know is that there are the stringent import policies, because people expect that it is because it's coming from elsewhere. The stringent import policies could help deal with it. Are you looking at that as part of the solution to this problem?
That is what I told you. That is what I said earlier, that one of the measures we take is to restrict the movement of pigs.
The movement of pigs
from one place to the other helps to spread the disease.
But would you say that this is a national crisis at this point?
I wouldn't say that.
What would you call it then?
A disease outbreak.
A disease outbreak?
Yes.
And the best that we could do at this point is to limit the movement?
Yes, we restrict movement of pigs.
Is it dangerous for consumption?
It does not affect human beings.
So even those...
but we don't also advise the slaughter of the animals, because when you slaughter for human consumption, you aid in spreading the disease. So that is why we go in and destroy the animals that is left on the farm, and then we bury and clean and disinfect the farm. We've
spoken to your representative in the Upper East region, but I'd like to find out those of you in the center, or at the center of affairs, will be coordinating this across the country. What are the supervision mechanisms or the monitoring mechanisms to ensure that the farmers that are being tasked to kill these animals are doing the right thing and that they're not spreading it further?
The main one is what we do by placing a ban on the movement of pig and pork products from affected areas to other areas.
All right. Well, we'll say a very big thanks to you, sir, for your time. At this point, though, how worried should pig farmers be? Are they going to, those who are losing their pigs?
What we will advise is that pig farmers should not introduce animals into their onto their farms anyhow. Now that we're having problems with this outbreak, they should be careful the source from which they bring animals onto their farms. Better still, they should not bring animals onto their farms until this blows over, else they may be at risk of introducing the disease onto their farms.
Okay. And will they be compensated, those who are having to kill their pigs? Will they be compensated?
We don't have any compensation plans in place for that, unfortunately.
All right. Maybe the Agric Ministry will. We're unable to reach them now. We will try and raise them another time. Thank you very much, sir, for your time.
All right. Okay, thank you.
Dr. Bernard Bede is acting head of the veterinary services.